From now until Wednesday, Code Espresso gets you 30% off your entire order at gfuel.com. So whether or not you want to check out a new flavor, grab a restock, or just want to try it out for the first time, be sure to use Code Espresso for 30% off your order. Link in the description below. In terms of quantity, there's about a handful of things this week in Black Ops 4 to look out for, but honestly, a lot of these are actually pretty big, have some weight behind them, and are definitely things you should keep an eye out for and consider when jumping into Black Ops 4 or anything else this week relating to it. Today, as always, with our Monday upload, we're going to be talking about the 7 things to look out for this week in Black Ops 4 as we round out of Days of Summer and into the next operation here. So with that said, while we jump into it as we go along, let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What thing out of any of these, if any at all, that you're looking forward to? I know there's a couple up on deck that we'll mention as we get to them that I'm super excited for and really curious to see how they'll work out, or how well they'll work out more specifically. That said, let's jump right into it. First things first, let's talk about something that was actually added today that if you haven't jumped on already to experience for yourselves, or you won't be able to for a couple of days, that you can look out for throughout the next coming days and hopefully, honestly, the rest of the year for Black Ops 4. I hope this is a permanent addition here at this, but we ended up getting introduced today, out of the blue, a dupe protected drop, which is something that you can trade 6 regular reserve cases for 1 duplicate protected crate. So you end up getting 3 items protected and no dupes coming along with that. Now, personally, I see this as a win. You guys may disagree, and that's totally fine, but so far, I see this as a win. Now, hear me out. Yes, there are 6 cases that you'll have to trade for that, which theoretically could get you 6 items that you may not have, and so therefore may be dupe free. But it's also tremendously dependent on how much of the game you've completed and how much of the loot pool that you've completed. If you play a decent bit of the game, you'll probably have enough that in those 6 cases, you'll find a few duplicates, and if not, that probably also means you have a lot of lower tier items as well. That's the filler content in there that you haven't unlocked yet. But if you play a bit or grind out the game a lot, this will trade your potential experience of duplicates out for protected drops that you do have to bear in mind. The probability of getting 3 of 6 duplicates probably isn't terribly high, but it's also likely that this is something you'll probably, with at all levels, knowingly sacrifice the yield of an item or 2 to end up getting that guaranteed item that you don't have. So it really just comes down to however you want to gamble your time away, depending on what contracts you have active, depending on how far you are in the contraband stream. It could take anywhere from 1 to 6 hours to really complete this sort of stuff and get a dupe protected bribe. So it really comes down to how you want to spend that time. Personally, I didn't yield the best items with mine, but I also didn't get the worst things either, so I'm impartial, but I like the idea that in an hour or 2 with contracts per day, I can get 3 items that I know I didn't have. And if you keep doing that, keep grinding that out, eventually you're going to get everything. It'll take a little bit of time, probably more than others, but long term, I think that it might end up decreasing the amount of duplicates you may run in contact with, so I'm okay with that. The other big asterisk here and thing to consider is that we have no idea the duration of this. I would hope this is permanent because we don't see anything that indicates otherwise, but honestly, I'm a little skeptical for obvious reasons because this is the first update to the black market in probably ever that we have seen that hasn't sucked. So if it stays like this, then kudos, this is a win to me, but if not and it goes away, it's gonna frustrate a whole hell of a lot of people. But that said, that was what was added in today as of what is tomorrow and entering the week of what is the final Days of Summer week. That's the big thing here. Days of Summer content is going to be going away after this upcoming week. You'll have until next Tuesday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time, but that means that you'll end up missing out on things like the contraband stream and the vendetta and the weapon bribe and tiers if you haven't completed that just yet. The thematic changes for Blackout are more than likely going to be changing. Your shop items, those will be going away. They'll be refreshing for a new operation. Things like your Nebula camo, Treasure Vault camo, Swordfish and Hades Mastercrafts, Misty and Sergei, and so on and so forth. If you're into any of that kind of stuff, you're gonna be down to your last week of getting those for the foreseeable future. Obviously, we see things from previous and prior events come back. We just don't have any ETA on when things from this operation will be reintroduced. Now, while it is the last week of Days of Summer, that doesn't mean that we're not going to end, well, hopefully on a bang, because we do have something that actually is brand new coming in this last week here for the Days of Summer event. That being a new mini event for the 4th of July, starting as of tomorrow for all platforms. This is something that was actually explicitly stated as all platforms, so hopefully that doesn't change, but that means that we'll be getting a brand new mini stream underneath the Days of Summer that we'll end up having a week to complete. Now, if I were to guess, that's probably about 10 tiers here at this, and it also is said that we'll be introduced to the Ultra Weapon Bribe in that tier system. The first time we'll see an introduction of an Ultra Weapon Bribe, which will guarantee you a ranged weapon. We've seen already in the Days of Summer contraband stream that we had a regular weapon bribe, which was any of those 4 ranged and regular DLC weapons of the Peacekeeper, the S6 Stingray, the Locust, and the Ballistic Knife. And also on top of that, you had the chance of getting the Mark II weapons, which I got a Mark II Koshka for mine way back whenever I unlocked mine, which is not what I wanted, but of course that's what I ended up getting. So this will take the Mark IIs out of the equation here, and again, it's probably going to be that tier 10 reward at the end of this mini stream. As for what else may be in it, I'm probably expecting something 4th of July, maybe a death effect or something like that, but who knows? It's probably just gonna be some smaller customization stuff again that comes along with this, but the big thing is that ultra weapon bribe, which, talking about that again as the next thing to look out for, is just what we described. It's a guarantee that you'll end up getting one of those ranged weapons in the game and the reserves and the black market contraband system. So that means that currently, as of the introduction of tomorrow, you'll have the option to get the S6 Stingray, the ballistic knife, the Peacekeeper, or the Locust. But on top of that, one thing that I'm really curious and what I'm probably gonna do is seeing if this works when saving it. Now, I ended up hitting some insane luck a couple of days ago whenever I opened up probably about 10 reserve cases that I had saved up, and I had gotten 3 ultras out of it, 2 characters for Blackout, and then 1 of the Locusts. But while I have 3 more that honestly I'd still enjoy, I'd love to use the S6 Stingray, I'd love to use the Peacekeeper, I honestly think I might save this because, as we talked about in the data mined content, we have things like the M16, the Argus, a crossbow, a melee, and also one that was recently found on top of that was another sniper rifle. So we'll have a couple of more weapons being introduced, probably in reserves again within the next operation, which is something that is just a week around the corner. So we don't know exactly if this works just like how reserves did, where it's an operation cap on it, where any reserves saved up beforehand won't count towards that new operation content. But at the same time, even if it doesn't, I'll still take the Peacekeeper, the S6 Stingray, or the ballistic knife just a week later. I think that that's fine with me, but bear that in mind that you may have the possibility of getting a new weapon if you are willing to wait for that next content update, even if it doesn't necessarily yield it. So that's something to consider, but it will grant you a brand new ranged weapon out of those reserves. And then moving along, next thing I want to talk about is that of a little bit of a shop update happening tomorrow. We have 2 more things after this to discuss, but that's going to probably come throughout the week and not necessarily just tomorrow. So the shop update, your guess is honestly as good as mine. There's a few things that we haven't seen just yet that have been data mined, but as for specifics, well, I couldn't pinpoint it down, but you're going to have something of a new featured item and also special order tomorrow to take a look at for, again, this last week of Days of Summer. And that also means that once that comes, again, all those things you'll see right now in the shop are going to go away for the foreseeable future. Outside of that, though, let's talk about some things coming throughout the week, not necessarily just tomorrow. Tomorrow, we may see the start of this first one, though, that being Operation 5 teasers. We normally see things of a new operation teased about a week before it is introduced. We have had a couple of times where it started on a Monday, but naturally as of today, we haven't seen anything just yet. So if I were to guess, it's going to be as of tomorrow. Now, whether that be something of Treyarch changing their profile picture, Treyarch changing their banner on Twitter, something of a tweet from PlayStation, Treyarch, Call of Duty, all of the above, who knows, but it is something we're going to be seeing some stuff introduced over the next couple of days. There's also been, as of recently, a lot of zombie stuff already. We saw a trailer, we saw a change in the profile picture from Treyarch, a lot of stuff along the lines with that. Also, though, that means we have to account for MP and Blackout, which is where I'd see a lot of these teasers in the next week coming up. We're probably also going to be seeing some stuff for MP maps because we're going to have 2 or 3 maps, depending on how they break down the next operation after 5 for Operation 6 as that last season of Black Ops 4. We have things to think about like Reaper coming, Blackout having a zombies map update coming, and again, those Black Ops past teasers that we haven't seen as of yet coming throughout the next couple of days. I'd imagine that we get 1 per day leading up until next Tuesday, so that's something to just keep your eyes posted to the socials, or here on the channel we'll probably describe those in detail or mention them in passing depending on what ends up happening with each. Outside of that, though, the final thing we'll talk about and mention here is that potentially the introduction of more ultra weapon bribes. Now, we talked about that there's going to be a mini stream and event tomorrow for the 4th of July in this week-long thing across all platforms in which it's going to introduce that ultra weapon bribe, which will guarantee us a ranged weapon. But ultimately, we end up seeing in the game files 2 things for Battery and Zero, bundles associated with each of those that will grant an ultra weapon bribe, 10 crates, and a uniform for both of those respectively. Meaning that we have potentially 2 more ultra weapon bribes that are buyable, but we don't have an ETA on when that will be happening. Now, these were data mined as of the Spectre Rising update, so probably indicating that they're coming throughout this event, meaning we're on the clock now and it's ticking down for when we end up seeing these. If I were to guess, I'd think it will be replacing the Augur DMR bundle that's in the shop currently, which still has 2 days and a few hours in change, bringing us to a Thursday at 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time refresh time, which could be the introduction of when we see this coming, but we still don't have any idea, and it certainly wouldn't introduce both of them at the same time, probably. The only downside to this is that I would imagine it's a hefty price tag. We have 10 crates, which even at the very cheapest would be $10 right there. A uniform, probably 5, and then maybe another 10 or maybe even 15 for that ultra weapon bribe, guaranteeing a weapon, bringing the cumulative total to anywhere from $20 to $30, which is really unfortunate, but is not out of the realms of possibilities. But that'll be something that's probably introduced here in this upcoming week, if my educated guesses are on point. But ultimately, that is 7 things to look out for here this week in Black Ops 4, some of these being bigger and having more implications for the long term of Black Ops 4 than that of just what we may talk about on a regular week basis. But let's let me know your thoughts in the comments down below. What do you guys think here of this? Is there anything in particular that you're looking forward to here out of this that we mentioned, or maybe that we didn't mention we may have missed? Whatever it is, feel free to let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, but hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, make sure you drop a like down below, and of course, if you aren't new to the channel, make sure you guys subscribe so you don't miss a single thing regarding all things Black Ops 4, MP, Blackout, Zombies. We got you covered the best of updates, news, information, tips, tricks, all that good stuff. So if any of that interests you, hit that subscribe button so you don't miss a single thing. If you guys also want to follow me over on Twitter and Instagram, those are the best places to get connected outside of YouTube. Practically live on both those. If you guys want to string up a conversation, ask me a question, whatever it may be, that link is down there in the description below. But let's end either way. Thank you guys all so much for watching. My name is Espresso. I'll see you guys later. Take care and peace.